This is Ray Anthony's Bunny Hop. It's a craze in the 1950s, and hope you're having a pleasant holiday for those who celebrate. If not, it's mostly Catholic, sure, but at the same time, Easter with Easter Bunny and Easter eggs and Easter egg hunts and Easter baskets, stuff like that, is for basically everybody who believe or whatever. So there you go. So hey, happy Easter. This is Dylan Knows, episode 344. Pussy Galore is dead. This is the first episode I ever did on Easter Sunday, due to the fact that usually, under normal circumstances, I would be having dinner right now at my in-laws' house. We'd be having the kids be able to go outside and have an egg hunt, and they would have a nice dinner and hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that. But due to our pandemic, since we're still under quarantine, going on week 3 now, all my parents, my mom called, my stepmother called, my dad sent an email, and my in-laws actually came for a quick little visit. That, social distancing and all that, we did all that. But my in-laws' house, we didn't do that this year, obviously. So the Easter Bunny actually dropped eggs off in our house, so the kids were able to have an Easter egg hunt of some kind. Of course, they also got their Easter baskets as well. They were hidden too. We're going to have a nice Easter dinner. We bought a spiral ham, asparagus, some cheddar bay biscuits are going to be made. Hors d'oeuvres, little smokies, our Frito dip, which is really, really good, calamari, mozzarella sticks, all kinds of good stuff. So, we got all kinds of stuff going on. As I spill my drink all over myself, due to the fact that my refrigerator is still kind of off in the cold air temperature thing. There's ice in the lower level, but it's not freezing, which is weird. So stuff is covered, caked in ice, and as it's melting, it gets all watery and stuff like that. Anyway, so we did that, and it's been a pretty nice Easter Sunday so far. We're due to get some heavy rain starting tonight and most of the day tomorrow. The heavy storms that are down in the south are going to be making their way up here, so we could be in for some heavy winds and thunder and lightning and stuff like that. Luckily, this is like the kids' mini spring break due to them, doing their homeschooling. The schools have not uploaded any new educational tools or whatever. They did do it Friday. They're not going to do it Monday. So they've got kind of a mini 4-day weekend type of thing going on. I've been reading a lot of books during my quarantine time. I'll be reviewing one of them, Bloody Crimes, and going on a bit of a rant. If you go to Goodreads and you go to my page and you go to my reviews, you'll see what the rant's all about that, but I'll talk about that more. We've got all kinds of anniversaries going on. This week alone was the 30th anniversary of Twin Peaks' first episode. It was 40 years of REM. They started their band 40 years ago this week. And 50 years ago, Apollo 13 launched, and we all know what happened with that one. So we'll cover some of that. We'll cover what exactly happened this week that was actually fairly interesting, and I will be announcing something really cool coming probably around 4 o'clock, whenever I get this done. I'm going to post it as soon as I can, but I'll talk about that in a second. We had a whole heck of a lot of deaths, not all entirely due to COVID-19, but I have a whole page here of deaths that we'll cover on that end. And we do have some good stuff. We have a lot of science stuff, a lot of really cool science stuff. Comets actually have 3 big stories in the news this week, so that's kind of an interesting thing as well. The Guild, a former online show that I used to adore, is back in the news on that. Some more suspensions of sporting events, religious people doing stupid things. The zoos, a bunch of zoos have had new babies that are born. Also, things you haven't seen in many, many years or would ever think you would heard happened this week as well. We've got some other Easter stuff to talk about as well. And more adventures of animals at the Georgia Aquarium. An interesting story that I never knew about from the 1970s about the disappearance of 5 hippies at Stonehenge. A classic Marvel comic was printed in a weird way and is now going on eBay for $1.2 million. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. A bear becomes helpful. Stupid people continue to do stupid people stuff. A Czech nudist is in the news. We'll find out why about that. Some other famous people claim to have recovered from COVID-19 and beat it. And interesting people who you would not think have been registering as doctors. Now, I just saw this right now. This happened last week on my show due to heavy traffic and the lessening of bandwidth and stuff like that due to everybody using it at the same time. My show may periodically be going in and out, going a little crazy here and there. The connection is unstable, whatever. I'm going to try to get through this as quick as I can because I don't want to have a repeat of what happened last week where my connection was just so bad for so long that I had to restart the episode and do a second part. And I hate doing that. I like keeping everything self-contained in one part. So let's just get moving. At 6 minutes in. Let's get moving. Thank you for whoever's watching. Hope we get more people in here. So here we go. I covered Easter 2020, so I can check that off. Pussy Galore is dead. The name of this episode. Honor Blackman, who is the actress who played Pussy Galore in the James Bond saga, she passed away this week. Alan Garland, a filmmaker, died of COVID-19 this week. Tim Brooke Taylor, a British comedian. Some people consider him to be one of the funniest people in Britain. He died of COVID-19 as well this week. Michael McCarthy, SNL veteran, dies from cancer. Hal Wilner, music producer and SNL vet, dies of COVID-19. Michael Chi, one of the actors on the present Saturday Night Live, his mother passed away due to COVID-19, so it's been a little tough with Saturday Night Live this week. Saturday Night Live also had their first at-home episode through Zoom and stuff like that, and who better to do the first quarantine, pandemic Saturday Night Live live show. And Tom Hanks did a show from their living rooms and their houses that was done in like a Zoom format. A preserver of New Orleans black culture dies at 68. Timothy Brown, former NFL player and MASH actor, died at the age of 82. Mort Drucker, a Mad Magazine cartoonist, died at the age of 91. Dieter Laser, that's a true name, Dieter Laser, who was the star of the terrible, god-awful Human Centipede movies. He died of COVID-19. An 86-year-old woman with dementia dies while in the hospital for COVID-19 issues, but it was more of a dementia thing where she grabbed the IV of a patient. The patient did not take kindly to it, pushed her down. Unfortunately, the 86-year-old woman banged her head and caused her death that way. Rising rapper and model China Joyner, cartoonist of the Tribune, dies at age 96. Earl Graves Sr., founder of Black Enterprises, died at the age of 85 this week. Linda Tripp, her of the Clinton sex scandal storyline and a major player in that, she died this week. John Prine, one of the George Ogilvy, co-director of Beyond Thunderdome, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, died this week as well. Joy Benedict, 19. Lee Fierro, Lee Fierro, actress in Jaws. She was the mother of the young boy who got eaten by Jaws early on in the movie. Died at the age of 91. She was a local, so she wasn't really a famous actress. When they filmed Jaws, they got a bunch of people. She was the mother who, Bobby Mitchell, Redskins player, Hall of Famer, dies at the age of 84. Tom Dempsey, a kicker for the New Orleans Saints, died of COVID-19, and just got this over the wire before I started my show. This was posted by my friend Gary. Sterling Moss, a racing legend, died at the age of 90 today. So that's a lot of people passed away this week, and it probably won't be the first there is. Also, that's right. I'm sorry, a grandma member, I don't know if you remember the story, a while back, a woman who was sending a text was a younger man, and she was like so apologetic, and the guy was like, yes, no problem, and then the mother just said, hey, you want to come over for Thanksgiving dinner? And the guy said, sure. So a stranger came over, had Thanksgiving dinner with this family who had a text misfired to him, and they've continued this meeting every Thanksgiving and having a Thanksgiving meal every year. Well, unfortunately, that woman's husband passed away due to COVID. Kind of weird comet week. First up, I think I mentioned a comet that's going to be hugely bright, is heading this way probably within the next month or so. Will be able to be seen by the naked eye. Well, that might not be the case anymore, because apparently the closer it gets to the sun, it's breaking up more. So now the comet is actually breaking up, and this could be dangerous as well, because if the comet is continuing to break up as it's starting to enter into Earth's atmosphere, or not Earth's orbit, I should say, there's a possibility that maybe some of the comet fragments, could be big, could be small, might end up showering onto the Earth. So there's a possibility that there might be a possible comet attack coming within the next month or so. I'll believe it when I see it, and we'll learn more about that, obviously, as time goes by, to see if we'll still be able to see it. I think what they're saying, since it's breaking apart, it's becoming less bright, so it might not be as easy to see now, but we'll see. So that's comet story number one. Comet story number two is connected to this. Earlier this week, a trailer, movie business still got to get going, because, as last week I gave you all the new movie schedule release dates, and they're still trying to get the movie stuff. There's AMC story coming up here a little later. We'll talk. Is a disaster film that always seems to do very well anyway at the box office, and it's about a comet crashing into the Earth. So the trailer was released like on a Tuesday on YouTube, had thousands of views, whatever. And the next day, people wanted to go and take a look at it again. It wasn't there. It had been removed from YouTube. And that was the same day that the news came down that this comet that we thought was going to be big and bright has been breaking up. So either there is a little underlying, well, we think that a comet's going to hit the Earth, so maybe we shouldn't show a video of a comet hitting the Earth. Or maybe they thought, it wouldn't be in good taste because of what was going on. So who knows? But right now it is a conspiracy. Right now, no one knows what's going on with that. So to be continued. We'll find out more about that. And finally, glass in soil of a 13,000-year-old Scot settlement in Syria points that a comet actually did hit the Earth 13,000 years ago. So, lots of comet stuff today. Here's another interesting thing that has a couple stories. Wife crashes her own funeral, horrifying her husband, who had paid to have her killed. He thought was dead, that he paid someone to kill her, was now very much alive. So obviously the police got him, and he has been arrested. Also, where is that? A teen that was missing for 5 years, and so they had a suspect in custody, and they were going to bring him to trial. And here she comes, 5 years after being missing, reappears in court saying, "No, I'm good." So kind of an interesting sort of weird day going on here. A funny Easter story that was disproven by Snopes, but I figured I'd better mention it because it's kind of a ridiculous conspiracy theory thing, and conspiracy theories are a big thing during pandemics and stuff like that. We'll cover another one of those after I talk about this one. Are gay people lacing Easter eggs with homosexual-inducing food coloring? So a story came out that the homosexuals, gay people, were able to create a bunch of food coloring that, when placed on an egg for Easter egg dyeing, and somebody touched it, they would turn gay. I got to find my favorite quote of the day, and this is exactly what I'm talking about here. This is from John Green. "Let me explain why I like to pay taxes for schools, even though I personally don't have a kid in school. It's because I don't like living in a country with a bunch of stupid people." Neither do I, John. Neither do I. Snopes proved it wrong. It wasn't that hard because, come on, man. Seriously. Why are you so scared of gay people? It makes no sense why you're so scared of gay people. It makes absolutely no sense. So please stop. Another conspiracy theory introduced this week is, again, stupid people. 5G, for your phone, mine's 4G. Now there's 5Gs. 5G towers are being blamed for COVID-19. So morons are burning them down because they don't want to get COVID-19 because they're morons. And it's been so bad in the UK that the phone providers, cellular providers over in the UK are imploring you on air in newspapers, on television, whatever, billboards, whatever, please stop doing this. It is not causing COVID-19, and you are destroying private property that we're just trying to help make cellular service better. Stupid people. Well, let's talk about other stupid people. Florida woman who thought she had COVID-19 decides I'm going to stick it to the libs and everybody like that, and decides that I'm going to walk around and I'm going to pass on my COVID-19 to whoever I want to because I'm a badass bitch. And discovered you don't have it, but because you thought of doing this, we're going to arrest you anyway. So she got arrested for that. So thank God for that. One less stupid person off the roads. Another thing, a televangelist, Kenneth Copeland or something like that, does one of those. He's one of those has those mega churches and does TV shows and is always saying people to send him money and stuff like that, and then flies around and fancy jet planes and has like 20 houses and stuff like that. He went on live on his show, I believe it was last Sunday, and went, COVID-19, you're gone. No more COVID-19. So come to my church and give me lots of money. I'm not making this up. Actually, not an evangelist. This wasn't a televangelist. This is actually a priest. Now, Spall justifies in-person church services, saying true Christians don't mind dying. 42 years old, not 42, I'm 46. I'm 46 years old, going to be 47 this year. I'm healthy, I'm a Christian. But you know what? If I get COVID-19 and I die, that's okay, because I'm going to go to heaven and I'll be up there with this right hand of the Father, and I'll be pleasantly surprised, hanging around with Jesus and living in paradise. I want to see my kids grow up. I want to see grandchildren. I want to see my kids get married. I want to see my kids get jobs, and I want to spend a good. Let's face facts. I'm probably middle-aged right now. I probably have a good, if I stay healthy and I don't get any diseases or any problems or whatever, I probably have a good 30 to 40 more years left in me, which I haven't really thought about, but now it makes me feel, well, I've lived 46 years so far, almost 47. And I'm only halfway through my life, so I'd like to see what the next 30 to 40 years would bring. I'd like to keep seeing what's going to be out in movies and TV shows and comic books and books. And I want to see America get great again when we get rid of these idiot, tyrannical dictators in office. And I want everything to go back to some semblance of normalcy. I want everybody to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I want to see what happens over the next 34 years. But I'm a Christian, and look, if somehow it kills me quicker, I catch the COVID-19 and I die, I get hit by a car, I get shot by somebody, I die of a heart attack, I die of a head wound, falling down the stairs, whatever. If any of that happens, all right, I feel I've lived a good enough life that I will be going to heaven and I'll be able to be in paradise. But you know what? I'm not going to go out of my way to say, shoot me, I want to die. or walk to the street and get hit by a car, or take a knife and, well, if you kill yourself, that's a different story. But I don't want to put myself in a position where I could die, because as I said, I've only lived half my life, and I still have another half I want to live, and I want to see what happens with my kids, and I want to see this world get better, and I want to see what's to come in the next 30 to 40 years. So, Pastor Tony Spall, I am a Christian. I am a true Christian. Maybe not a true Christian, but I am a Christian. I don't mind dying if it can't be helped, but I sure as hell am not going to put myself in the line of fire, unless, obviously, if I get drafted for a war or we get involved in some sort of battle, whatever, I need to protect my family, then yes, I get that. But I'm not going to go out of my way, as I just said, to go up to some dude on the street and say, hey, shoot me in the head. Or walk in the middle of the street, get hit by a car. Give it to me right now. Give it to me! So, you're a moron, Pastor Tony Spall. You're a moron. On a lighter note, I was going through my Facebook, and periodically I get some interesting things popping up on my my site. And Target apparently does. They know that I go to Target, and I've had to put my email in before, stuff like that. So they send advertisements and stuff like that for their online store, stuff that they think I might be interested in. This week I saw two. First was, and I might discuss this last week, I don't remember, but the next line of movies, I think I did, games based on movies, is The Shining. Others, I think that'd be kind of a cool board game to see what happens. And then there's another one that popped up on my feed from Target that unfortunately cost $62. I'm like, I keep it in the back of my mind, throw money at it, but damn, I don't want this game. So I'm going to keep it in the back of my mind so that eventually when we do get money, I'm sure as hell going to buy it. And hopefully maybe once we get closer to Halloween, they'll drop the price down. Or maybe even before then, they'll drop the price down. But for $62 is a game called the Halloween board game. Now, it's not based on the horror franchise. Instead, you are in a small town on Halloween. I think become the best demon king or whatever. So your job basically on Halloween is to rise up spirits to attack trick-or-treaters and people in this town. And the more you defeat, the more powerful you get. And to win the game is you become the most powerful demon there is. I think that's really cool. I really do. I really want it. I want it like today. But $62. And when I went to Target, do some grocery shopping the other day, where I found toilet paper. It's generic, but I found 6 rolls. So I'm good on that. So we have like 4 massive rolls there. Either was The Shining game. They're both only available online at this point right now. It's like, damn, I want both of those games like yesterday. So maybe ship it on this way, please. Oh, hell. I just realized I skipped over a whole section on the other page. I'll get there in a second. Now, Diamond Comics is a company I used to work for, and they are the only comic distributor in the world, and they've been shutting down their warehouses and distribution, so comic stores haven't been getting comics. And we've talked about some of the stuff they've been trying to do but haven't been able to work things out. They've had to do layoffs and stuff like that. They've been behind on some payments, but they figured out a payment plan, which they put in place this week. And then the good news is, I guess, because UK is on the downslope, there's a Diamond UK group out there, and I've talked to them on the phone before. Quick story real quick about that. I remember one day when I was a brand manager working for Diamond, I had to talk to somebody over in UK, and it was like right around their closing time. Obviously, it's like a 5 or 6 hour difference. It's like 12 o'clock here, but it's like 5 or 6 o'clock there. This guy, actually, I think more along the lines, maybe it was after closing, and I was surprised when he answered. And I said, hey, I thought you were gone by now. And he's like, I would have been, but there was a terrorist bombing right outside our building. So it was when the train or one of the buses or whatever was had a terrorist bomb put on it. So they had to get locked down in their office building. So I remember talking to them. But Diamond UK will be opening on April 15th, which is, what's today, the 12th? Yeah, my friend Pat's birthday is today. Oh, my Aunt Terry liked my my review where I tore apart the book I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. Yeah, August 12th. Yep. Or not August 12th, April 12th. So yeah, so that would be 13th is Monday, 14th would be Wednesday the 15th. So they're going to be opening up on the 15th. So that's a good sign of something anyway. Going to that. Astronomers again. Astronomers release picture of a jet of energy shooting out of a black hole. Remember last year around this time, the first ever photograph of a black hole was taken. Well, this year they one-upped it by actually showing material jetting out of a black hole. So that's kind of cool. I should have added this to my death sequence, but the last Plains Indian war chief, Joseph Medicine Crow, who was from Montana, died at the age of 102 this week. So I've been reading stories about them, the Old West. I've actually got 2 books, actually, that he'll probably make an appearance in. Maybe not one of them, that was more of mid-1800s, and he wouldn't have been alive back then, but the second one he might have appeared in. There are 2 books about Native Americans that I got on my list. And as I said, I've been reading like crazy, so it's going to be eventually, it'll probably be maybe not the next books. I'm reading the NFL's 100-year history right now. I'm going to try to finish that up. And then I'm also reading a book about the movies, which I got from the library right before it closed down. So I can hold on to that till they reopen, which, at this point might not be till this summer. But anyway, I've got those 2, but I've got a book about a chief named Red Storm or something like that, who was the only Indian chief in history, what the treaty is going to be, that declared the North Dakota, South Dakota Black Hills, before North Dakota and South Dakota, the Black Hills area out there is that Indian territory, and they held it for about 20 years until the Americans got a little bit more, well, we wanted to get in there and we want to expand, so we're just going to break the treaty. And by that time, Red Storm was too old to put up a defense, so they ended up handing over the keys to the kingdom, and that's where North Dakota, South Dakota, and Deadwood showed up as. So I got that, but he's probably not going to be that one. But Joseph Medicine Crow might be, and I have also got a book that I'm really interested in. It's thick. It's going to maybe take a while for me to read, but it's basically the history of Native Americans from the Sitting Bull Battle in like 1850 to present day, about how the reservations were set up and how rough it's been for them, but also, different histories that's been going on that we don't know anything about. So I think that's going to be really cool. So it's a shame about that. Scientists discover a 150 million year old continent from shards of igneous rock that was found in Canada. So that believes that those rocks came from a previously undiscovered continent that they thought was there, but disappeared due to tectonic shifts and stuff like that. And no, it's not Atlantis and all that stuff. It's just some generic continent. There was another one that was discovered recently down near Australia. It's not Atlantis either. So just get over that. Willie Nelson's going to host a Farm Aid concert at home. He's got Neil Young and a few other people in that as well. So they're going to have a concert and raise money for Farm Aid, which is something that Willie's always done. Cake charcuterie boards are a thing. Like those boards that you have cheese. You got lots of cheese spread on them, and then you've got like all these different types of crackers and spreads you can put on there, and it's sort of a little hors d'oeuvre appetizer thing. Well, there's one now for pancakes, where you make little pancakes, and then you've got like butter and fruit and whipped cream and syrup you can dip it in and stuff like that, and it's going to be just like a pancake hors d'oeuvre appetizer sort of thing. So that's kind of neat. And speaking of pancakes, Hot Pockets, yum, has created a pancake Hot Pocket, which doesn't mean that it's made of pancake. It's basically the exterior shell is made of pancakes, and the interior shell will be breakfast. Animal stuff. Dolphin gets excited when he sees a sloth placed outside of his enclosure. Now, with aquariums and stuff like and zoos being animals, so since there's no people, they decided, why don't we see what would happen if we release other animals and let them see animals that they've never seen before. So to start off with, I think they released some penguins in the aquarium, and they walked around, and all the aquarium animals were like, what the hell are these things? And then it was so successful they decided to do other stuff. They had people bring in their puppies, so puppies could run around the aquarium. And again, the fish were like, "What the hell are these things?" But they were interested in it. They thought this is kind of cool. Well, in this case, we have a dolphin who was obsessed with this sloth that was hanging outside of his enclosure. So he was like saying, "Is he going to move? Is he going to move? Huh? What's going on? What is this thing?" He's never seen a sloth before, and he was curious, and he thought it was kind of the neatest thing in the world. So good on that. Now, we mentioned the puppies. So to be fair, people said, "You know what? We did puppies. Let's do kittens." So kittens have been released into the Georgia Aquarium as well. So there's some adorable pictures of kittens looking up at the fish and the fish and stuff like that, looking back at them saying, "What the hell are these things?" So that's kind of interesting as well. Zoo stories. The Miami Zoo reveals that there are clouded leopard kittens now have been born in their zoo. So they're new. There's another zoo that had animals get born. I think it's cheetahs. Yes, Columbus Zoo has cheetah cubs. There it is right there. So the Columbus Zoo reveals that their cheetahs had cubs as well. So that's kind of cool. Now, on a sad note from the zoo, the Bronx Zoo reported that a tiger has COVID-19, which up to this point, people didn't think animals were going to get it. But there have been some signs in monkeys, obviously our closest relative on the evolutionary scale. And now it appears that felines are also in danger of, because after this tiger got tested positive for COVID-19, they did some more research and discovered that cats, due to their the way their system is, they can also catch COVID-19. We have a cat, and she's been quarantined with us, so she hasn't been getting out that much. But those who don't know, just keep an eye out for your pets as well. They can also get COVID-19. Some new stuff. Himalayans are now visible and it's the first time they've been visible in a really, really long time from parts of India, due to there not being quite as much pollution in the air. So it's quite a sight that you walk out your door where there's not as much pollution. You're like, whoa, there is, there's the kill pollution. You're like, whoa, there is, there's the kill. There is the Himalayas. And also something interesting, LA, I talked about this last week, LA has had extremely clear air now that they've under quarantine as well. The pollution has ceased in that as well. It's now been tested. LA now has the cleanest air in the world. Yes, cleaner than a lot of other places also. So how about that? That's kind of interesting as well. So you got that as well. And there's one other thing that, oh yeah, the Lake Michigan stuff. I remember what it is, I just can't. It's not just the air, but water. I talked about how Venice, the canals are cleared out also. Well, there are now hundreds of shipwrecks. There we go. Hundreds of shipwrecks have been revealed in Lake Michigan as the water clears. So as the water cleared up like that, it's becoming almost like glass. So they're seeing all these ships. Chernobyl has wildfires now, and they can actually be seen from space due to the radiation spike, because even though Chernobyl was in 1986, which was, let's put that, 86, 96, 2006, 2016, that's 34 years ago, it's still, that whole area is going to be nuclear forever. It's radioactive forever. So when a fire broke out, it increased the amount of radiation coming out of there, because the radiation is inside all the plants and trees that are being burned up by that. So they can actually see the radiation spikes coming off of that area. It looks cloudy, but that's radiation exiting into the air. So not in doses that could harm people, but still it's kind of interesting to see that. I talked about Willie Nelson doing farm aid. Well, the Guild, which was one of my favorite online shows starring one of my favorite actresses, Felicia Day. It's about a group of nerdy introverts who only react to each other as being a part of a guild during like a World of Warcraft open environment video game, but life spirals out of control and they end up having to meet face to face, and they start having all kinds of adventures. It lasted about 5 seasons on YouTube. I don't think you can see it anymore on YouTube now because I think they have reverted to Netflix now, so you can see all the seasons on Netflix now, I believe. But the guild, they still became friends and still kept seeing each other. They haven't actually done anything guild related except maybe some convention stuff like that for a really long time. Well, this week they will be doing a D&D campaign. So all the actors from the guild are going to reteam, probably again through Zoom or something like that, and they're going to do a D&D thing for charity. So if you want to watch it, I think you're going to have to pay some money, but the money goes to charities, like to help hungry children or something like that. So that's a good thing as well. So if you want to see actual gamers that you recognize from TV show playing their characters from the guild in this D&D stuff, it's almost like a live action DVD, a live action guild episode. So that's might be neat to check out as well. Interesting. I wonder if it's like an egg-shaped Tootsie Roll. That's all Tootsie Roll. I think that'd be kind of cool if that was what it was. Disney Plus is doing all kinds of stuff. I remember they did an animated Robin Hood cartoon from the 1970s, I guess, maybe 60s. They're going to be doing a live action version of the animated Robin Hood series using anthropomorphic animals. That's going to be on Disney Plus, so they're going to be working on that soon. And Disney Plus also has said that they will be doing an update, reboot, whatever you want to call it, of Doogie Howser, MD, which starred Neil Patrick Harris in his first role, where he played a genius who graduated from medical school at the age of 13, something like that. So he went through all his schooling, college and medical school, and was a certified doctor in how a teenager, and then got hired at a hospital, how a teenage doctor was treated and reacted to. It was a really good show, half-hour show, entertaining, a lot of fun, and they are doing a reboot of it because you really can't do a remake. Really? I was like, yeah. But other than that, it's not really going to be that big of a deal anymore. So to have a new kid playing Doogie Howser might be interesting. I mean, again, I'm 50-50 on reboots. Sometimes it's fun to update shows for present day. But at the same time, though, I like to have people see the old style shows as well. Now, movies are a little bit different story because movies, they're an object. They're a product of their time, and sometimes you just need to keep it that way. Like let's face facts. Would a War Games update be as interesting now as it was back in the 80s during the Cold War, and computers were still kind of a new and interesting science? No, not really. I don't think so. That's why I'm like, I don't really want to see a War Games remake. But if they do remakes of other shows, I was like, or movies, it's like, it's a case-by-case basis. But TV shows, again, as I said, it's still good to see the old stuff, but sometimes it might be good to get a refreshing view about what life would be like now for a 13-year-old genius doctor, particularly during this pandemic phase right now. So to be continued. A horizontal rainbow was pictured, something that's never been seen before. Instead of it being an arc, it went across this way. It's quite a fascinating picture, and I think it's real because Snopes hasn't said anything about it not being real. So check it out. Look up for horizontal rainbow. It's really kind of a neat picture to see that. Birthday cake seems to be Oreo. I bought some of that at the grocery store on one of my trips, and I ate it. And to be honest, I wasn't a big fan of it. It's a very flavor to it. That's sort of like what this is. And I didn't buy this, but I saw at Target a coffee creamer that was also birthday cake. So again, not sure I'm too excited to try that, so I didn't pick it up. So I went instead to get a salted caramel and mocha creamer, which I know and I love. So I got that. So we're good on that. So, but if you're interested to try it, give it a try. But honestly, those Oreos, I did not like them, to be honest. That chemical icing flavor just sort of didn't do it for me. My kids seem to like it, but they'll like anything really. It's good about that. Blumhouse, which I've been talking about how great it is of a movie production company because they're able to do big hits with low budget horror films, and they've been doing a really good job of it. Well, they're also being affected by not being able to release any movies and make any movies, so they've had to lay off and have pay cuts for people who work for their company. I mean, it's something that's not just happening to me, even though sometimes it feels like that. It's, why is this just happening to me? But it's at this point that it doesn't really cross my mind that much, because I do realize that 12.5 million people signed up for unemployment this week, and that is unacceptable and is insane. But again, it is insane times. So they did stuff. Disney also is been affected by this. They had, as I said earlier, they've shut down Disneyland, Disney World, all that stuff. They've had people work in there, but now they're going to have to start furloughing those people because, well, there's not any work to do and we're hemorrhaging money. So we're going to have to furlough you guys till we can reopen. Also, since Disney also owns Marvel and Star Wars, they've been reducing and furloughing make films or TV shows or stuff like that. So we'll see what happens there. Rupert Grint meme where it was like, Rupert Grint is pregnant, and then one of the Harry Potter fans was like, oh no, another Weasley. So I thought that was funny. So congrats to Rupert and his girlfriend for that. I think he's the first of the trio to have kids, because I don't think Daniel Radcliffe has a kid yet, and I know Emma Watson doesn't. So Sam Neill and Hugo Weaving, two New Zealand Australia actors who probably worked together a bunch of times in the Australian film industry, but have also made their way up to American film industry, have been in multiple big hits. Hugo Weaving was Mr. Smith in the Matrix movies, was in the Lord of the Rings trilogy as the King of the Elves, whose name is escaping me right now. He also was V in V for Vendetta. He was also the original Red Skull in Captain America: The First Avenger. His daughter is her career is starting to skyrocket right now. About Blumhouse, she did a couple of Blumhouse movies, and she's been fairly successful there, so that's good. And Sam Neill, of course, Alan Grant from Jurassic Park, The Dish, one of my favorite movies of all time. He's in that as well. A bunch of other things as well, Event Horizon, whatever. Well, two of them decided to do a little bit of a comedy bit, so they videotaped themselves having a bath. Now, you have the videotape of Sam Neill in his bath, and then Hugo Weaving is filming himself in his bath, and they edit together. Like Sam Neill surprises, like, what the hell are you doing in my bathtub? You can tell they're two different bathrooms. So the two of them have a back and forth comedic conversation that is rude, crude, and hilarious. Hugo Weaving asks if he can borrow Sam Neill's soap. So Sam Neill throws it, and then he catches it because that's, they worked it all out how it worked that. So he's scrubbing himself, and he reaches down to the water and scrubs his ass and his front part. It's like, here you go. And Sam Neill's like, oh no, keep it. And then Hugo Weaving's like, what? Have I messed up your precious soap? And so they start having this conversation. It's hilarious. It just posted like 2 days ago or on Friday or something like that. So definitely it's still out there. Take a look at that. Sam Neill and Hugo Weaving taking a bath. It's hilarious. And it's interesting seeing what people can do during this period of time. A lot of people are creating creative things. Other people are just living their life, doing what they can. A good thing, let's see another story around here about using the periodic table to help teach your kids about the periodic table, but also make it fun for them as if they're playing Battleship. Now, I don't quite understand, what do they pick certain chemicals, and then they have to go, are you oxygen, or are you neofluorine, caparana, rahaha, or whatever one of these things are. And I think that's kind of cool. So I can't find that, but eventually I probably will. But yeah, so periodic table Battleship. Okay. Let me just check one last thing. Yep, okay. I'm sure I'll find it eventually. Another thing about being in quarantine like this is a lot of museums and stuff like that are offering virtual tours of their stuff. Actually, my daughter is doing another Eagle Scout project this week coming up, or Eagle Merit Badge online class this week about citizenship, stuff like that. And one of the stipulations is you have to visit museums, stuff like that. So I'm almost guaranteeing you that during the 2-hour period, she's got to do this a virtual tour of the Smithsonian Natural History Museum. So that was kind of cool. She enjoyed that as well. That should be good. But a new museum virtual tour of Tim Burton's art exhibit. Apparently he has an art exhibit at this Neon Museum, and they're offering a virtual tour of it. So I think that might be interesting to check that out. So maybe that's a wonderful operatic singer. We'll be doing an Easter concert. She's probably already done it by now, to an empty Italian Coliseum for Easter. And the Pope did Easter Mass to an open, or to a empty church as well, but still it was online, so you could watch the Pope's Easter because this is a big religious day for the Catholics, myself included, and the fact that you can't go to church, despite how certain pastors, as I mentioned earlier, said, Christians are okay to die. Well, we don't want to die right away, so God will understand. So we're good on that. The XFL, who knows? It's one of those things, what ifs, who knows what happened if this wouldn't have happened. But the XFL, which was having some sort of popularity and stuff like that, well, due to the pandemic and not being able to do their games during this period, due to the pandemic, they've had to shut down their operations, laid off all their employees, and there is no decision of reopening next year. So they might be done. Once this is all over, maybe they will change their mind. They'll go back and reevaluate. But right now, the XFL is dead. It's going to take more for other sports franchises to die, but the XFL being brand new is dead. Speaking of sports franchises, Major League Baseball right now, we are April 12th right now. We should be in about week 3 of the season. The Orioles probably be somewhere on lines of like 4-12, probably something like that. Maybe they'd be better. Hopefully they would be better. Who knows? But right now, baseball has not started. It was suspended their spring training way back in March. March 26th was supposed to be opening day. That came and went. And then last week I said they're eyeing maybe a July 4th thing, but they're still not sure what they're going to do with Major League Baseball. However, a brand new discussion point came up this week. Someone has came up with an idea about how they can restart baseball and still keep things going with COVID-19 and stuff like that. It would include, for this year only, a realignment of the Major League Baseball teams, the American and National League, and it would require the DH to become universal. So all teams would have to have a DH and not have to pitcher batting and half not. They would have to do a full universal DH. The reason why I bring this up is because the realignment, their discussion is that since they are there's 2 spring training facility areas, state of Florida, state of Arizona. State of Arizona is the Cactus League, and the state of Florida is the Grapefruit League. So there's all kinds of minor league or all kinds of sports or spring training grounds and fields all across Florida, all across Arizona, where the Major League Baseball teams go during the winter because it's warm down there and they can do their practicing like that. And then they have their exhibition games, so they go to other team stadiums, stuff like that. We decided, why don't we just do the season with the Grapefruit League and the Arizona League? There's your American League, your National League. So the sports teams that do their spring training in the Cactus League would be realigned into 3 divisions, depending on where their location of their stadiums are, so that the travel is minimal. and then the Grapefruit League would be the same way. So they divide it all up, and that includes, the Orioles would be in the middle league, which is like the mid-south or something like that. That would include at least one or two National League teams, and the Boston Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays, who they already face, and then one or two, I think the Mets was in there as well. There might be another. So the National League teams and the American League teams, because all their facilities are close together, would be realigned into these teams, and then they would do their full season, I would assume, just so they don't want to travel to Arizona and Florida back and forth. The Cactus League teams in Arizona would play each other. Now, again, they would divide in half. So what does that mean? There's there's 12 teams in each division. So 12 and no, there'd be more than that, because I think there's 32. So I think there's 3 divisions of maybe 30. So there's like 30 teams. So you have 15 teams here. You have 30 teams. I don't know how it works out, but regardless, so all the Arizona League teams would all play each other during the small, minimal Major League Baseball schedule. They might cut it in half from 162 games to maybe 81 games or whatever. And they would be able to keep playing if they needed to into the winter, because if they wanted to play a full 162 games, they might not end until December. They would be able to play in these minor league stadiums or these spring training stadiums, because one of the big things is, would it interfere with the NFL? Because some of the teams might play in stadiums like the Ravens, the Orioles and the Ravens stadiums are right next to each other. So if they both had home team games during that stretch in October, November, whatever, it would be a disaster. So instead, they would just keep playing through like late winter down in where it's warmer. Well, the NFL also restarted as well. And you can either do 162 games, you could do half it, whatever you can determine. And then what you could do then is it would be the same way. So you'd have the Grapefruit League teams would all play each other, the Cactus League teams would all play each other, and then you would have your winners, your division winners, and then your wild cards like that, and they would do their playoffs. And then the Grapefruit League do their playoffs, and then the winner of the Grapefruit League would play the winner of the Arizona League in a central location, maybe Texas, which is about halfway in between both Arizona and Florida. And they would do a 7-game series in that same stadium, so that there was no home away thing. It would just be, they could determine, okay, whoever has the most wins or whatever, you can be the home team. So you would get 4 games where you would be the last person to bat, and the other team would have 3 games. You could do something like that. But then you would have your Cactus League and Grapefruit League champions face each other, and then that would be it. So you could have conceivably a World Series with, let's say, the Boston Red Sox playing the Oakland Athletics, which are both American League teams. And a bunch of other all the other stadiums would be shuttered during this time and would not open till next season. But you'd still get baseball. So we'll see what happens about that. What else? Anything else? Comics, real quick. 2 neat little stories about comics, then I'll get into my anniversary stuff and what my daughter did this week. DC Comics accidentally made Batman Jewish. Now, there's anything wrong with that, but in the comics, Batwoman, who is Katie Kane, who is Bruce Wayne's cousin, is Jewish. That made that a key point in the character, that she was Jewish. And going by Jewish law, Bruce Wayne, which means she would be the niece of Thomas and Martha Wayne. And it turned out that Martha Wayne was a Kane. So she was Martha Kane before she married Thomas Wayne. So she was a Kane. And so she was Jewish because, according to Jewish, the religion goes through the mother. So Martha is a woman, so she was Jewish. Her mom was Jewish. Cain, I guess, was Jewish. Or the way they worked it out, that the mother was Jewish. Maybe she married into a Jewish family as well. But regardless, Martha Wayne when she was Martha Kane, before she met Thomas Wayne and got married, was Jewish. Mother, when Martha Wayne and Thomas Wayne had Bruce, Bruce's chosen religion is Jewish because his mother is Jewish. So it was an accident, and they haven't really mentioned it, but it's kind of a neat little story about that. Now, the other really neat comic book story this week, everybody talks about how comic books are during the early 90s, there were speculators who saw. I used to do my comic book show with MJ Khan. We talked about this multiple times. That's not how it works. The comics that are millions of dollars are actually rare comics. And in the early 90s with the speculators, these comics were all not rare. Now you might get 50, maybe 100 if you're lucky for some of those speculative comics in the 90s. I wouldn't bet on it because everybody was going crazy for X-Force #1. It was polybagged. It had 10 different cards in it, so you had to buy one copy for all 10. So you had to buy 10 copies to get all 10 cards, and then you had to buy another copy that you would open so you could actually read it, and then you would keep all those ones sealed with their card in it, and they would be worth a lot of money. But because of that, close to 5-6 million copies of that comic were printed, so that's not rare. Everybody has them. I have them. I have them in one of these boxes. I didn't buy 10, but I bought like 5 of them. But I have them, and they're all still polybagged, but they're not worth anything. It's the rare comics. So everybody was surprised when they went to their eBay this week and saw that the old Teen Titans #6, right before the whole Marv Wolfman, maybe it was during the Marv Wolfman George Perez thing, that a Teen Titans #6 from the 1980s was going for $1.2 million on eBay. Now, with you for $10. What the hell is going on? So they clicked on the one that said $1.2 million. And then the description read, "This is a unique comic. The cover is Teen Titans #6, an old comic called Marvel 2-in-1, issue #74, which came out at the same time that New Titans #6, New Teen Titans came out, #6 came out." Basically what happened, there was a printer mistake, and someone put a copy of Marvel 2-in-1 #74 around the cover that was New Teen Titans #6, shipped it out, and then whoever it discovered it and held on to it, and now is selling it for $1.5 million. That's actually a really cool story. So I think it's kind of neat. So I got this page done. So I'm going to head back here. I skipped over this overall dead stuff. My daughter this week in Maryland, and my daughter was a founder of that. She was also a recruiter, so she's gotten a few more of her friends to join as well. And so it's a big thing, and she loves it. I've talked about it a million times. She loves it now. She is on task, since she is officially a scout. She's on task. She can be an Eagle Scout. She can absolutely get her Eagle, and that's exactly what she's doing. So she's got to go through the phase of the levels of scouts, and she's got to hit the proper merit badges. There's the Eagle Scout merit badges that you have to get in order to become an Eagle Scout. As I said, she's going to be doing a citizenship online merit badge class starting on Monday, going Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. every day, and she'll cover all the stuff she needs to do, and by the end of the class on Friday, she will be able to get her merit badge for citizenship, which is why they're doing this, because in this time you can't actually go and do your merit badge stuff because of the pandemic stuff and the stay-at-home orders and stuff like that. So they're doing actually go and do your merit badge stuff because of the pandemic stuff and the stay-at-home orders and stuff like that. So they're doing these classes so you can, because there's an age requirement, and if they said, I'm not going to do it till this all blows over, well, you've lost months of work that you could have used, that now you got to panic and you've got to hit Eagle by a certain age or you age out. That's just the way the scouts work. So, but there's also merit badges that you do just for fun. Just that you find interesting. You got to do the Eagle ones to get your Eagle. So you've got the whole 4 or 5 years it's going to take to become Eagle. Do those merit badges. But you can also do as many of the other ones you have. And there's some really, really cool ones. As oceanography or weather, stuff like that. Well, one of them, that my dot point where it's going to start, my connection is getting to be unstable here. Am I going to have to restart this again? Hell, I'm going to probably have to because they keep popping up. So I got a lot to do, a lot to discuss. We'll keep going for now until it gets to be too bad. So she did that class this past week, and her final project was to make a movie. So she had to conceive of it. She had to do the storyboards, and she had to show, had to write up a description of it and send the storyboards to her teacher who's been helping her with this so that they know that she's been working on it. And then she has to direct it, edit it, and then send them the link so they can watch it. She finished her film yesterday. It was due by the end of the yesterday, and after some issues we had getting it uploaded and stuff like that, they sent off the link to the teacher, and so she's done. And once he looks at it, she'll get the blue card, which she can hand in for her merit badge when they get back to normal. So she's got her filmmaking movie badge. But in order to send him the link, it had to be uploaded to someplace because you couldn't send it on the form because it wasn't going to offer the only end as an Easter treat. After I do my show today, maybe sometime later tonight, I will be releasing, with her permission, her movie that she made, Family, but you'll be able to see it on my Facebook page and my Twitter page. So if you want to see her movie, or go to YouTube and type in Noelle Lang, Noellelange, and you'll find it on her page as well. It's exactly 10 minutes, and it is fantastic. You get to see John Wilkes Booth after he killed Lincoln, and he wrote it as almost like a thriller, but it was historical. And it was the search for Jefferson Davis, who was the Confederate president, and Lincoln's funeral train, and the juxtaposition, which is fine. It is, Jefferson Davis was their leader, but the way the writer wrote it was, United States, but the South absolutely adored him, and just everything the South did, and I hated the fact that they were. So we got 3 major anniversaries this week. 7th, 1970. We all know about that from the movie, how into orbit, their ship exploded basically, and they had to survive the flight back, and they had all kinds of issues. It's a great movie. Check it out. Out there.